guys, it's Nicole, and today I have the first Super Saver layout from January 2015's Super Sketch Club kit from Scrapbook Generation. With this being the first Super Saver that I put together from this kit, I always cut up all the papers for all three Super Savers at the same time. It just kind of works out better for me. So typically, whichever layout I put together first and do a video on first, that's the video that will sort of have all of the sort of cutting part, and probably that's the only reason that this video ended up being a little bit longer than the other two layouts that I put together. So I'm just following the cutting guide that they include, and the Super Savers instructions and their cutting guides that they give you are so good. Like, literally they have four little drawn out sheets of paper, and they tell you exactly how to cut it. The only thing that you could possibly mess up on is something like this paper where it's a stripe and you kind of need to be cutting it so you're seeing all the colors instead of going with the stripes. So that's the only thing that you kind of have to pay attention to. So I'm just going to go ahead and cut all of my papers together at the same time, and then I'm kind of just sorting them on the side of my desk as far as which ones go to layout 1 and 2 and 3. And every time that I go through and put one of these Super Saver portions of these kits together, I'm kind of always amazed at how well they are able to sort of take, it's always 4 sheets of pattern paper, and you cut it up and you spread it out into 2 double page layouts. I feel like if I were to sit down and sort of come up with 3 pages on my own, even following a sketch, somehow I would end up using more paper than that. So I tend to save my cutting guide and sketches from these kits, because I know if I ever come across a collection where maybe I only purchased 3 or 4 sheets of the pattern paper, I can kind of get more than maybe one layout out of all of those papers if I pull one of these cutting guides that I think would work. And then I could just always pull stickers or die cuts or any kind of embellishment from my stash. So whenever I finish these kits, I keep my instructions and my sample photos, and I just kind of put them in a binder. And then anytime that I'm sort of feeling like I have maybe a bunch of 4x6 photos, or I don't have a whole collection and I want to get sort of maybe more mileage out of my paper, I'll kind of go back to these particular sketches first. So I'm starting out with Super Saver 1, and it's just kind of all these strips laid out across the 2 pages, and then those are my little note sheets so that I knew exactly which photos I had in mind for this layout. And I don't have the sketch in front of me right now, so I can't remember. I want to say those 2 3x4 photos on the bottom, I might have added to it. Hopefully at some point I'll move my sample over a little bit so I can see. I believe the sketch had just called for those photos running across the middle of the layout. Oh, no, the 3x photos were on the sketch. So I was able to get 4 full 4x6 photos, and then those 2 little 3x4s. And then I'm just using my T-ruler to kind of get the first strip straight, and then I can just go ahead and butt the rest of them up together, and I know that they're going to be straight. And I had just inked the edges in some brown ink, and I went ahead and cut that part out of the video just because it takes a long time as far as video time, and I don't really think anybody really wants to watch that. And these particular photos are from our family photo session last fall, and I just got our new ones back that we had taken this year, and she sent me 80 photos, so I'm kind of like, oh my gosh, like that's probably the most that she's ever sent us. Usually it's like 30 to 40 and maybe a couple over that when she switches some of them to black and whites where it's the same image, but it's, you have a color option and a black and white option. There are 80 different full color photos. So pretty excited to kind of figure out, you know, if I have kits that I want to match those up to, or I might just kind of pull some sketches from Scrapbook Generation that are geared more towards 4x6 and just kind of go from there. So it's just kind of cute to kind of see the difference between last year's photos and this year's photos, since they're on the screen here and then the new ones are sort of fresh in my mind. And so I'm just going ahead, laying my photos out and finishing those strips of pattern papers. And I like to take these little tiny strips that they have and I cover up where my photos and the pattern papers meet. Sometimes I can't get them to line up straight or there's a gap, so I kind of just like to use this as a seam so that you don't really notice it as much. And then I'm just kind of inking the edges because I had trimmed down my background just a tiny bit, and then I'm just double checking the sample to make sure where these extra photos are going to go. And then the Super Savers came with an entire pack of these jelly bean soup. I can't think of what they call their die cuts, but it's just their die cut pack. So I'm just going through and figuring out which ones go with this layout. And just kind of sorting through them. For whatever reason, I could not find, I had one more video file and I could not find it. There was 3 extra strips of pattern paper that you cut into banners, and you'll see them on my photos. They are from, they might have been from the branding strips, I can't remember at this point. And I think that video clip was the one I couldn't find, and maybe just putting the die cuts on the page. And then I didn't do any journaling for this page just because there's gonna be probably 8 to 10 pages just of our family pictures, and a couple of the layouts I'll put some journaling, like the ones that are specifically my son or my daughter. Some of the ones that's, you know, all 4 of us together, and then anything else I'm probably just gonna put the date and the location that we had gone to have the pictures taken. And the video is going to end here because this is where the clip that I was missing was at. So I just went ahead and took some photos of those strips and the die cuts, and then I added a couple of the light yellow Pretty Pink Posh sequins to some of the die cuts, like the flower centers, and then just a shot of the completed layout. So thank you for watching.